Hello everybody, my name is CulBlu and I'm bringing out this video of me reviewing a board game, and today I'm going to be doing a review of Heading Forward. As you can see here on screen, all up in your face with all the things, components. This is actually an interesting one because this is a print and play game, and I haven't done a print and play game before, but this will be my first one, so hey, congratulations, this is the first one picked. So because of the print and play, there's no box, so I just have kind of this smorgasbord of components and things that I've made and used for this game. So these aren't official components because you have to use whatever you have. So sure, go with it. All right, so at any rate, let me go ahead and get our background music started because I love my background music here. And yeah, let's go ahead and start talking about this game. So this game before us is called Heading Forward. This is a game designed by John Du Bois, as you can see there on the screen. And as far as it goes, this game is a resource management it's not set collection, just a resource management action efficiency game. I don't know how to best describe it. You're trying to upgrade and trying to move on with stuff, so it's an interesting journey. Let me just say that much. So like I said, because it's a print and play, I don't have a box, so we just have the rule book there. But before us, we have our components. If you do want to make this version of your own game, go check it out on, I'll link it in the description, but it's also on Board Game Geek. And you can also purchase your own print and play files. I'll link where I got it from, which is from War Game Vault. But you can check out there. Like I said, check the description, you'll find the link down there. But you have your cards you have to print out, and then you have your player board you have to print out. I just posted mine on some chipboard here that I happen to have lying around, or some cardboard. And these components I had just kind of lying around, just some metal coins that I had left, a few of these little cylinders that I had to count as my spoons, little meeple head person to count as the brain, and then this little X, which I thought was perfect for the calendar, to keep track of the rounds, and that's it. So all those components, all those things combined, you too can make your own version of this game. Speaking of the game, let's go ahead and get into this game. This is a solo-only game, so solo player game. And in order to start, we're going to have 2 decks of cards. We're going to have our level 1 and 2 cards right here. This is going to be our starter cards. We're going to shuffle those. And then we're going to have our level 3 and 4 cards. We're going to not shuffle these. We're going to put these to the side because we're going to need to find the various ones and replace them. I will say that I have made a modification to my own version of the game. As you can see here at the back of the cards, if you do purchase your own game or see other copies of the game, they will have just a single head, which I actually think I have an example of somewhere out here. I think maybe, yeah, there you go, like that. But because the cards are rotated, I just changed the design because I was printing out myself. So I modified the design to make it like a double-headed thing, so I can't tell if it's up or down, which kind of helps a little bit with being able to predict what's coming next. But do what you will with that. That's how I decided to do mine. Okay. At any rate, let's get moving. Here's my player aid card right there. Here are these cards here, my level 1, level 2 cards. I'm gonna give this a shuffle. Be sure not to mix up the orientation of the cards because you do need to make sure you keep your face up, or so your upright cards upright and your upside down cards upside down. Okay. Scooch this over so I can make some more space here. And then you want to take one card randomly and you want to reveal it. And this card is going to be, oh, not chores, rude. This card is going to be my trigger card, because there will be a trigger card, and we'll explain the theme of this game here in a second. But that's our trigger card. Then we're gonna take our trigger card. This card here is our trigger card. We're gonna shuffle this into our deck as well. And that is our starting setup. Oh, nope, in addition, we're gonna take one of these spoons, put it right there for unused. We're gonna choose our difficulty, easy, medium, or hard. When you do move from round to round, be sure to move on the red numbers, not the actual calendar numbers there. So be sure to move on the red numbers. That's your actual tracker, the red numbers, not the calendar day like I did improperly. I was like, man, this game lasts so long. That's because I was playing it wrong. And there we go, we're ready to start. Now, as far as the theme of this game, I'm gonna go ahead and read the opening line for the game and then the objective, and then we'll go from there. So starting off from the rule book here, it says, a car crash, a workplace accident, a sports injury, a slip and fall at home. Any of these could have brought you to where you are today, a traumatic brain injury. But this game is not about how you got there. This game is about what happens next. Objective, your insurance provider has approved rehabilitation for 15, 12, or 10 rounds, the length of time allowed depending on what level you're playing that you and your employer were able to afford. You must complete therapy goals in 3 different areas in this span of time. Otherwise, your insurance will determine you have not made adequate progress and will discontinue payment. So kind of a commentary on our insurance system here in the US at least. Imagine having universal health care. Man, couldn't have that. All right, anyway, moving on from there though, these are the 4 different categories. So you have, they are named. Let me go ahead and get that from the rulebook too. There are 4 different categories here. This first category is going to be the cognitive skill category. The next one here is going to be your financial skill category. The next one is going to be your endurance skill. And then finally, you're going to have your adaptability skill, which this one has a lot more cards in it. So that's going to be your 4 different domains. So in order to win this game, you must have maxed out at least 1 card in 3 different domains. And by maxed out, I mean you get to level 4 and then you finish level 4. We're going to explain as we go along. Just join along for the journey. We'll get there. Okay, so we have everything set. I'm going to go straight into a rolling teach. So I'm going to teach as I'm playing the game. So first of all, we have our trigger here. What that means is that whenever we draw the trigger card, we must do the trigger instead of our normal turn. But otherwise, the way the game flows is that on my turn, I will be having a hand of cards, and I can choose to play a card to try to get its, try to expend the appropriate resources to try to get its benefit that it gives me. And then I can also, after playing that card, I can choose to, at that time, if I want to upgrade that card or leave where it's at. If I can afford to upgrade it, it's optional. If I can't afford to upgrade it, I clearly can't, and then the card goes to my discard. A few other things to note is that I do have to be very mindful of cards that are upgraded that are coming to my hand already. So if a card is on level 3 or level 4 or level 2, and I happen to not use it, as in something happens or I have no more resources to spend to either spend that card or use that ability to reinforce it, or spending another resource to kind of get it to the next level, then I run into a situation where the card ends up atrophying. It ends up downgrading 1 level. So that is what happens. That is what happens in those situations. So I have to basically manage that because I need to ultimately get everything up to level 4, and then finish it on level 4, and then finish 3 of those such categories. So a lot of extra steps, a lot of things I said, a lot of words I just said, but hopefully by watching me or hearing that, knowing what's coming, and then watching me actually play through it, you'll be able to catch on. Okay. So we're gonna go ahead and start. We start with 1 spoon, unused. I'm gonna do medium game, so we're gonna do 12 rounds. We're gonna start with $0. We're gonna start with our brain capacity, our cognitive skill on 3. So we're gonna go ahead and start by drawing 3 cards. That determines how many cards we draw. 1, 2, 3. And we have some cards. So let's go ahead and look at a card. So we're gonna go ahead and bring up, let's bring up work. This is a very simple card. So here's the work card. This work card has a few pieces of information on it. Notice it's double-sided. It's the top and bottom. When we upgrade it, we'll be able to rotate it to see this side, and we'll be able to interact with it accordingly later on. But for right now, we're on level 1, which is what the number up here represents, the 1. It does not count how many of those hearts you get or those time you get. It just tells you what level it is. So on the level 1 card, if we want to play that card, we need to expend the appropriate resources, which is 1 spoon and 1 time. And then if we do that, then we get to achieve the card, which in this case will give us the reward of that rotation symbol. And then if we look at the progress side, that's if we want to upgrade it. If we want to upgrade it, all we need to do is just achieve the card. So basically, if we achieve the card, then we get to upgrade it, and then we get to flip it over. Just to use the secondary example, which is the other side of this card, if we had level 2 card, hypothetically, we would be able to spend a spoon and a time. And then if we do, then we earn $1, which is great. And then afterwards, if we spend a heart as an extra thing for progressing, we can choose to upgrade that card from level 2 to level 3, which is much more powerful, gives you more things, but it's going to be more expensive and more costly. So that's essentially how that works. So starting off with this though, I do want to actually upgrade that one. So I am going to spend a spoon. So I'm going to spend a spoon, and I'm going to spend a time. So when I have the card, this is the card I'm going to be activating. I'm just going to put it over here to show that this is my activation area. There is no activation area that the game called. This is my understanding of how the phasing in this game works, but this card is not discarded. It's no longer in my hand, so it's kind of in my play area, if you will. It's kind of in a temporary play area, a super secret 3rd place. And I need to generate the resources, so I'm going to discard this card, ignoring everything except for that top symbol. All I care about is that top symbol. And this goes to my discard, as is, and I have now generated the time, so therefore I spent the spoon, I spent the time, so now I can flip this card over, now I can get whatever this says, and then I can progress this card. So I'm going to flip this card over, and now this card goes to my discard because it's all done. It's expended, and that's it. So now that's done, I continue my turn. So in my turn, I have no spoons left. I have no other resources. I cannot use this heart to count as that time, but I cannot use the heart on the card because remember, you ignore everything on the card when you're throwing away from resources. So therefore, I can't do anything. So this card will now go into my discard because I can't do anything. So I just throw it away into my discard, and that's it. And now I continue with my next turn. The round is done after I have to shuffle the deck. Every time I shuffle the deck, I will decrease my round counter from 12 to 11. All right, so here I'm going to draw 3 more cards to continue my next turn. And I got my trigger card. Wow, that's pretty fast. All right, so my trigger card. So when the trigger card shows up, I'll just bring it on screen so we can read it together. It says, if this card is in your hand, do the following in order. So the things that we'll do is if there's another skill that calls us to draw this card, complete that skill's actions. That's relevant if there's a card that lets us draw more cards. That can possibly bring the trigger card back into our hand. So that's where that becomes relevant. But that doesn't apply here for us right now. So therefore, we go to number 2, complete the trigger skill's expend requirements. So our trigger skill is chores. So we're gonna have to expend a spoon. Sorry, I forgot to mention this, but at the end of the round, at the end of the turn, we get all of our spoons back that were there. So this is why it's nice to have more spoons. Sorry. So I currently have a spoon because I'm at the top of the turn. So I'm going to spend a spoon, and then I have to spend a time. I have to. This is mandatory. So I got to choose a time to spend. It doesn't really matter. I'm going to spend that one. Actually, it does matter. I'm going to spend that one. I mean, it doesn't matter in the long run, but it matters to me. So I spend that one, and therefore I now get the rotation. And then it says when I complete the trigger skill, I get the achieve stat, but I do not gain any spoons. I do not gain any cognitive ability. I do not gain any money. So I just complete the trigger, and that's it. And then here it says, if I can progress, then I must progress. So in this case, I can progress, so therefore I must. So it becomes harder to do this trigger next time. So basically, I get no benefits of doing anything. It does not count towards one of my 3 completed biomes. And once I get it to level 4, it just becomes a hard task that will always be there. This can never go out of the game. Normally, when you complete a level 4 card, it goes out of the game, just kind of into your collection area to show that you finished one of the things towards your ultimate goal. Your trigger skill here does not never goes away. It will always stay. And the trigger card can never be removed from the game either. So that means that this will always be there. There will always be a problem with me dealing with the chores situation. So every time I have to do chores, I just shut down and waste resources and spin my wheels. That's what that's kind of representing. Okay, so that's all done. And if I did successfully finish the trigger, then it gets discarded and I get to continue the rest of my turn. If I did not have the ability to finish the trigger, whether I did not have enough spoons, I did not have the resources in my hand, then my turn ends immediately, meaning I take all of my cards and I discard them. If I do that, because I had to discard all my cards by ending my turn, if I had any upgraded skills, they atrophy as well by 1 step. So that could be pretty detrimental if I don't have the right resources. But in this case, I get to continue my turn, which is the same as ending my turn because I can't do anything. I have no spoons, I have no other resources, so I must end my turn. So I'm just going to discard that, get my spoon back, and start my next turn. All right, so here's my next turn. I'm going to go ahead and decide which of these I want to upgrade. I do want to increase my hand size, so that way I have more resources to kind of throw around. So I need to spend, oh, shoot, I can't, because this card needs me to spend a spoon and a heart, and I only have time and time. The only heart that I have is the card itself, so therefore I cannot. I want to upgrade this one, but I can't, so that sucks. All right, in that case, I'm just gonna go ahead and upgrade driving because it'll let me draw more cards. It's kind of similar to memory, but it's not the same. So we're gonna spin a spoon, we're gonna discard this, and then we're gonna upgrade that, and we're done. I can't do anything with this card, so it goes away. Oh, this should not be on level 2, it should be on level 1, sorry. So now we're on the next turn. So next turn, let's see, I'm gonna upgrade Generalized. Generalized is a pretty strong card from what I've learned. So I'm gonna go ahead and spend a spoon, and then spend a heart, spend a care, which is what that heart stands for, and upgrade this, and that's it. Next turn, 2, 3. Ooh, planning is not terrible, but I want more money. I'm gonna do cooking. So we're gonna do cooking. Cooking is gonna allow us to do some, get some money. And we also need a source of spoons. And chores is my usual source of spoons, but because it's my trigger skill, that's kind of rough. So I have to find another way to get some spoons, some additional spoons, because I can get up to 5 or 4 more spoons to have 5 total. Oh, speaking of which, that goes over there. All right, so continuing, we're gonna try to upgrade cooking. So we're gonna spend a spoon, spend a time, upgrade this, and then that goes over there, and then we're done. So we draw 3, 1, 2. So now we need to shuffle. So we're gonna go down around. Then we're gonna shuffle to the best of our ability, remembering that we do not want to accidentally shuffle or flip cards. So try to be very careful about shuffling. Try not to flip cards. And done. And then draw one more. Okay. I get my spoon back. So I think I want to do. I think I want to increase rest because that's going to give me a refresh of a spoon, and that could be very helpful. So we're going to do rest. We're going to spend a spoon, spend a time, upgrade that, boom, and then we're done with our turn because we can't do anything else. We got our trigger. Shoot. All right. Well, let's see. Can we do our trigger? Our trigger says spin a spoon and discard all cards in your entire hand. Wow, that's rough. All right. Well, so spin a spoon, discard all cards in my entire hand. So my turn's over anyway. And then that's it. If I had 2 more spoons and I had to upgrade it, I don't. So therefore, I'm done. That's a rough one to have up there. Oh, my driving level 2 is here. Perfect. All right. So I'm gonna go ahead and do this one. So I'm gonna spend a heart. Well, yeah, I'm gonna spend a heart. And I get to draw 2 cards. And if I spend a spoon and $1, then I get to upgrade it, but I don't have $1, so therefore I can't. So this card is done. And now I basically have another hand here. So let's see. Ooh, socialize is nice. That gives me spoons. So I'm gonna spend a spoon and a time, and I get to upgrade that. And I'm done. So 3 more. And as you can see, the game keeps going over and over and over until I upgrade things, and it kind of takes a little bit to develop, but I'll play a little bit more, until the end of this shuffle, and then we'll get on to our things that I like, things I didn't like, and actually, I'll give a summary of some stuff, and then things I like, things I didn't like, and we'll talk about it from there. So, generalize, nice card. So I can spend a spoon and a time. Sorry, I have a spoon. So spend a spoon, spend a time, and then it allows me to upgrade any stage 1 skill in my hand or my discard pile. I'll do it in my discard pile. Oh, we'll get budget upgraded. Yeah, let's get some money. All right, there we go. Done it. And that's it. And I can't do anything else, so I'm done. So draw 3. 3. All right. Now I want to do work, but I don't have the time for it. Actually, I can't do anything because I don't have the right resources, which is not good. This is terrible. So this means that this turn I can't do anything. I have a spoon, but I don't have any time. I need time. So therefore, I can't do anything. So my turn is over. So I have to discard. And because I discarded like this actually atrophies 1, which is very devastating. And that's it. Go to the next round. And then we shuffle. And then we continue like that forever until we win the game. Eventually we'll get more spoons. Eventually we'll get a bigger hand size. Eventually we'll get money. And we'll be able to start doing more stuff, chaining actions. Paying attention to how you chain things is very important. And another thing too is that once you start getting those bigger cards, it feels very cool to be able to like do multiple things in one go. But it really starts with getting more spoons to help enable you to actually do multiple things in one turn. And speaking of spoons, I do want to read this from the rule book on why spoons. So why spoons? Actually, I'll read this in a second. Let me finish talking about the game here. So as far as other things about the game, you do eventually get your trigger card upgraded a little bit more. It becomes a lot more perilous to have your trigger card show up, and always shows up at the worst possible time and causes so many problems. I've had in the 3 games that I played now. The first game is a test game, so I can't really count that. So 3 games that I played now, it's been a situation where it's like I got exactly what I wanted, and then trigger shows up, and it's just like, oh man, everything falls apart, as one would think it would. So that just leads to a situation to where things just don't work out as perfectly as you wanted it to. So that I think is pretty on point, pretty funny. and pretty tragic, and it's very thematic, so it fits with the theme. Another part of it too is that once you do start getting the bigger cards in your hand, sometimes you have situations to where you need exactly like one more time or one more heart and you can't find it, and then you get that one thing that happens that helps you out, and it just feels really good to have it just flow and work out. So what I'm trying to say is that there's a lot of booms and busts with this game that I think works out pretty well. And that's actually kind of bleeding into my things that I like, things I didn't like. So let me go ahead and read the thing I was going to read earlier, because I do want to read this about spoons. So the rulebook has a little section here that says, why spoons? And it says, why spoons? The use of spoons as a resource in this game is based on Christine Misandro's, I think that's how you pronounce that, spoon theory, as a visual reference for how people with lupus and other chronic illnesses have a limited amount of energy to complete their daily activities. Spoon theory is not a perfect analogy for head injury rehabilitation, because many people with head injuries regain most of their pre-injury abilities. However, because I still use spoons as a reference for my own inconsistent energy levels following my head injury, and because spoon theory frames the struggle of finding the resources to complete early head injury rehabilitation tasks, I felt it was appropriate to use in this game. So that's why they use spoons in this game, which I thought was pretty cool. They mentioned that. Yeah, so cool. Now we got through that. Let's go ahead and talk about the game itself, as far as things that I like, things I didn't like, and my overall rating on the game. So as far as things that I like, I really like the theme in this game. I think the theme in this game is like, it's interesting. It's always nice to have a theme that's not battle, war, fighting Civil War, fighting World War II, guns in the field. And that's mostly a bias because the place that I got this game from, which is War Game Vault, that's where they kind of delve in a lot of games like that. There's a lot of war games in there, a lot of resources for war games like ASL or Advanced Squad Leader, a lot of different things that you can kind of print your own chits and bits. There's Mike Lambo's games up there. He has a lot of war games and stuff. And it was nice to find this game there, because at the end of the day, it's just a print and play game. And a lot of those games on War Game Vault are just print and play games or print and play resources for games. So it was nice to find this game amongst the crowd there, and I was very happy to find it, and that kind of enhances the whole theme of this game, because I do like the theme of this game, talking about kind of our healthcare system, at least here in the United States. It's very crappy that, you have a head injury and you gotta, your insurance is like, hey, you better be progressing correctly before we continue to cover you. And that's a really crappy thing, I really hope that we as a society in the United States of America, in our Lord's year 2026, at the time you're recording this, finally get around to do universal healthcare for goodness sakes. But my radical ideology of having healthcare aside, which is so crazy, that's radical. I can't believe that's radical. At least in this country. That aside, I think it's a very important topic to kind of bring to the forefront, because as the saying goes, all of us are one accident away from having a life-threatening, not life-threatening, for having a life-altering disability or something that alters how we interact with the world. And it's very true. In the United States, all of us are one injury away from a financial crisis, because the biggest source of debt in the United States is medical debt. And I don't mean to bog this down with like a whole bunch of things that sound doom and gloom, but I'm trying to say that this is why I love things like this, because it brings it to the conversation table, it brings it to the forefront. So huge kudos to John Du Bois for bringing this up, in the topic, subject matter, making a board game around it, and the mechanics. I do like the mechanics of this game. Kind of having the whole match symbols and then use resources to upgrade things, and trying to pick and choose what you upgrade feels really good. This gives me a lot of feelings of a game like Undaunted, where in the game of Undaunted, it's really about upgrading your cards as evenly as you can. At least this is what it feels like for Undaunted. In Undaunted, you can go for like a super huge, I'm making one giant strong card, but the stronger you make your cards, the stronger you make your enemies in that game. And I think in this game, the stronger you make your individual cards, the harder it is for you to actually do things with them. Because eventually you have to start paying money. And if you don't have a way to generate money, then you run into a situation to where, hey, I had this big card, this level 4 card that can do some really cool stuff, but I gotta pay $2. I have no money generation, so therefore I'm kind of stuck in the water and just spinning my wheels. So this game really encourages you, from my number of playthroughs, it seems to really encourage you to kind of not evenly upgrade your stuff, but more balancedly upgrade your stuff. Like kind of increase your cognitive ability so you can have more cards. The more cards you draw, this is another pro, I think this is a pro, the more cards you draw, the faster your rounds go, the faster your round tracker starts counting down. So you start to feel that pressure once you have it's like, hey, I draw 8 cards a turn, heck yeah. But drawing 8 cards a turn when there's only 17 cards in the deck means that you're going to go through the deck twice, like 2 hands and you're through the deck. That means that your round counter starts counting down a lot faster. I think that's a very appropriate ramp up for this game, because in the beginning of the game, you saw it took me a long time to get to the next round. But once I start drawing a few more cards, like once I start drawing 6 cards, the rounds start ticking down a lot faster, and it puts a lot of pressure on me to actually start focusing more on upgrading individual things to make sure I can actually get those 3 category goal, get that 3 completed goal, I should say. And also make sure I still have the balance of resources. And when the trigger shows up, these upgraded versions of the trigger start costing money, and that sucks because, you know, hey, I'm trying to save up $4, or I'm trying to save up $3, but if you look over here, in order for me to do this trigger for level 4, I got to spend $1. One of the triggers that I had, which is cooking, that was really hard because cooking cost me money, and it kept stealing my money. So here we have the level 3 for cooking. If this was your trigger card for the game, you have to spend a spoon and a time and $2. If I was trying to save up money for something else, then I just have to throw my money away for cooking. It just feels really bad, but like in a good way, as in like, oh man, the game, how did it know? How did it know? So I think it's really cool. I think it's a pro as far as how the game ramps up. The more cards you draw, the faster the game goes, but the more things you can do, the more spoons you get, the more you can start upgrading stuff. But the more you start upgrading stuff, the harder it is to kind of sometimes hit those expenditure requirements, so you can actually use the card next time around. And then also it kind of has this game of chicken, I should say, that kind of happens because sometimes some of the cards let you draw more cards. So you can play a game of chicken to where you're trying to draw more cards, but the more cards you draw, the closer you get to drawing that trigger card. And if you draw that trigger card at the wrong time, it might just completely throw your plans completely off kilter. So it just ends up being like this really interesting, like this fascinating puzzle where all I'm doing is like just upgrading my cards and flipping stuff, but I'm also pushing my luck and trying to see if I want to draw cards, if I want to go that path, or I can try to go more consistently, just draw more cards every round on a more stable basis, or I can try to build like a money engine and start spending money for stuff. And it just ends up being like a really fun time all around. So I think that this is a really fun puzzle. I think it's really cool overall, and I have a lot of positive things to say about it, but I do have a few negatives. And as far as the negatives go, my initial negative still exists, but it exists in a much smaller capacity. I think this game lasts maybe 5 minutes too long, which is not bad. What I mean by that is that this game lasts amount of time that I feel is correct, but just slightly off. Like I feel like maybe if this game ended 5 minutes earlier, I'll feel better. And I know 5 minutes sounds like a very small amount of time. It is a very tiny amount of time in the grand scheme of things, but what I'm trying to say is that the ramp up that this game does towards the end makes this game feel better, because initially you feel like, okay, there's not a lot of pressure going on. I'm just upgrading my level 1 cards to level 2. Well, you know, what's the big deal? But once you start increasing your card draw, once you start getting those abilities to draw more cards, once you start getting those abilities to start getting money and getting more abilities to upgrade more cards in the course of a same turn, you start feeling the pressure on the game. So I think that if that could somehow kick in sooner, that would be great. Like maybe if the game starts and you start with like maybe 2 or like you start with a trigger, but you start with like 2 skills upgraded to level 2 already, that could feel better to like get the game going. Because really, every time I start this game, the first round, maybe the first like 3, like from, you know, round 12, 11, and 10 is like, oh my God, hurry up, what's going on? Come on, can we get to the fun? And then once I start hitting like round 9, round 8, round 7, round 6, it's just like, oh, there it is, yeah, give me more of this. Oh wait, whoa, calm down, hold on, my puzzle's puzzling. So it starts feeling a lot better. So that's what I mean when I say that the game feels like it lasts 5 minutes too long. What I mean more so, like more specifically, I should say, is that I wish the game sped up somehow, which I can definitely do. I can definitely just start with like 2 or 3, or maybe just start with like just draft cards or something, and the cards that I draft are going to start upgraded, and then the game just kind of kicks in faster. I don't know what you need to do with the rounds to balance that out, but I think that this game has a really cool puzzle. I just really would like to get to it sooner, is what I'm trying to say. So that's going to stay in the negatives for me though, because I do think it's a knock against the game. As a print and play game, there was a little bit of a struggle trying to get this game sized properly. I can't really count this as a negative against the game because I had to print it myself. So I had to figure out, you know, a whole bunch of stuff. I had to get my because I have a Cricut machine, a smaller Cricut machine, so I had to like readjust some sizes and print more stuff. It was a whole episode. It took like a whole week for me to get this whole thing printed out, but I think it was worth it, and I'm really happy that I did because I do enjoy playing this game. And more importantly, my partner enjoys this game too because you know, they work in therapy and stuff, so it's like kind of cool topical stuff, and funny story that this game tells, especially if you look at the end of, like, cooking was my trigger, but I was able to, achieve my ultimate goal by, getting better at work, socializing, and my health, and you can kind of tell a story with it, and it also tells a story as you play, because one of the things that I didn't really explain, I guess, in the most direct terms, but I mentioned before that if I have an upgraded skill, but I don't use it, if I discard it, then it gets degraded. So in this particular case, if I have one spoon and I want to upgrade memory, so I'm going to spend my one spoon, and I'm going to spend my one heart, because I got to spend a spoon and a heart, and then I upgraded memory. What I'm doing in this case is, what I'm doing in this case is I'm using my hobbies, story-wise. I'm using my hobbies, like my getting better with hobbies, getting more skilled with hobbies, regaining my my drive for my hobby, if you will. And I'm using my hobbies to help train my memory, so my memory becomes better, and that's how it goes. So again, you're telling a story as you go along, and you can really track it down. Like, if you want to tell a story every time you play the card, that's really cool. So you can kind of get into it and get, like, really deep into it. But I think that there's a lot of good things to love here, and I think that there's a lot of struggle that I face with trying to print it out. Again, it's in the negative section. I'm not counting this against the game. Like, I'm not rating the game lower because of this. It's just more so like I had to get good. I had to get good with using my Cricut machine, and it was very stressful. But it was really cool because I now have cool stories to tell, and I'm glad I printed it out. Okay, all right. So very convoluted negative section there, but my biggest negative, man, I keep saying but, my biggest negatives here is that I wish the game just kind of kicked in sooner. I don't know what to do to ultimately fix that. Maybe reduce it by 2 rounds and then start with like 3 cards or 4 cards upgraded, because that's about what you get when you go through a full cycle, and maybe that'll work. So yeah, we'll workshop it. We'll workshop it. I think it's a fine game. I do think it's worth your time printing out and getting played. There is a thing I wanted to mention here, not really a pro or a negative, but I did watch a video of John playing this game. I think it was John on YouTube, and he has cards that were double-sided. So I originally printed my cards and made them double-sided, and I ultimately went back to how this game recommended you do it. And the reason why is because the double-sided, it works. You just have like a cover card here, and then you draw from the bottom of the deck, and that works. But it ends up being very kind of clunky when you have to shuffle and stuff. You have to make sure you don't look at the cards, and sometimes you accidentally flip cards, and it became a whole nightmare. So I ultimately have 2 copies of the game now, where I have one for like flipping cards and stuff, and it's really cool to flip the cards. Sorry, it's really cool to upgrade and upgrade and upgrade and then upgrade, and then boom, out of the game. That feels fun. But outside of that, I think it was a good call to go for separating the cards, because it makes it a lot less messy. It makes it a little annoying to print out though, because that means I got to print double cards, because I was able to print on front and back of the same paper or cardstock for those cards. But for this one, just print it out on different sheets and then cut it out whenever. It's not that big of a deal. Just wasting more paper. Another thing too is that this is just feedback for the designers here for the game, for John and crew. The original, you'll notice that my icon here is different, and the reason why I did that, and I'll actually bring out this card here. The reason why I did that is because this is what the original backs, the card backs that you can use, are look like. And when you have a card that's flipped, you can clearly see it's flipped. So I didn't like that. So I decided to just make my own version of it. Took this picture, just rotated it 180 degrees and superimposed it and fixed the colors a little bit, and printed it out that way. I think it looks fine. It's a little bit hard to tell what it is. Now it looks like, is that like a Uno symbol? I don't know. It's very confusing, but I think it's much better this way. So I like the modification I made, so I'm gonna stick with it. Okay, cool. As far as my rating for the game, if I had to give this rating out of 10, given the context of the game, given the length of the game, given like kind of all the bits and pieces for the game, and my overall enjoyment with the game, I would give this game a solid 7 out of 10. I want to rate it a little bit higher, but I feel like if there was some way to kind of put more into the game, maybe give like an expansion that gives you more stuff, maybe give you like another set of categories to use, that would be cool. But I think because of the nature of the game, that's not really a thing that you would do for this kind of game. This game is basically what it is because of the theme, because of the source material that it's using. It's not saying, hey, now you have the dog edition, so you now walk your dog as one of the cards. And it's like, that doesn't really, I mean, I guess you could add in stuff like that, But really, what I want to see is I want to see like more abilities, more powers. I want to see like more ways to kind of change stuff. It feels really good. It feels really, really good in this game. Once you get towards that middle and towards that end, because you start having things that chain. Sometimes you have things that work out just barely working out. Sometimes you have things that fall apart completely because a trigger shows up. Sometimes you have things that just don't work out because you didn't plan right. And this game feels like it's rewarding you correctly and punishing you correctly in a fair way. So I like a lot of what this game's doing, and I want to see more of this game system doing what this game system is doing. I don't know how you would do that, but it would be cool if you could. So if there's an ability to kind of add more stuff, I think that the rating will definitely go up from a 7. But I think 7 is a pretty solid, respectable number for a print-and-play game that I heard nothing about. All I knew was that I was a solo player, and it seemed to not be a terrible game about war or something. Not that war games are things that I avoid, it's just more of a, hey, a print-and-play is not another chit encounter game. Was what I was looking for, so this went right up that alley. So that is going to be it, though. That's basically it for this one. Hopefully that was informative, and hopefully it encourages some of you all out there, if you are into print and play stuff, to go check this one out. I thought it was a pretty fun game. I'm probably going to go play another game of it after I'm done recording here. But yeah, this game is a pretty nice game, pretty nice little puzzle. I like how compact it is. I don't think it overstays its welcome, I just want to clarify. I just wish it got to the meat of the game faster. That's why I said if it was 5 minutes too long, not that I hated the experience, it's just if you can get to the speed faster, that'll be cool. Just like some people say with my reviews, hey, if you can get to the point faster. It's like, no, I refuse. It must be a 2-hour video. Actually, where are we at? Shoot, 35 minutes, darn. All right, I got to stall for 25 more minutes, guys. I'm joking. All right, so that's going to be it, though. Thank you all very much for watching. Hope you all enjoyed it, and as always, I will see you all whenever. Bye.